Hello and welcome to Confidently Wrong, a show by regular dudes talking with confidence about content we have no right to speak about with any kind of authority, but do it anyway. I'm Wesley Nakamura, and as always, I'm joined by award-winning director Brian Redondo. This is episode 152, and we discuss whether the Acolyte is due for some accolame. I'm confident that it's going to be the best show you've ever listened to, and well, hey, if it's not, you can always ask us for a refund.
Incredible!
Hello, gentlemen.
I am the gentleman.
The gentlest
I'm the
of
man
men.
of gentle.
Yeah. What's up, Brian? You're the only
Last
one.
man standing over here.
You're the only one left.
I took out Savan with a plutonium elbow.
Ooh.
Boom! Got him.
Did you
Just me now.
Did you hit him with the chair first, or was it just straight up rope to rope and then elbow?
Oh, it was from the top rung.
Oh, okay. Your ladder match.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. That's the only way you can get somebody who's like 7 feet tall.
Oh, that's true. But with bad
With-
knees,
with
he's
hair.
not moving out the way. You know,
yeah.
mobility
exactly.
numbers are down.
Yeah, that's always how you get the big guys with agility and quickness.
Nice. So
That's where the Asian guys do our work, right?
that's racist, bro.
It's just facts.
Yao Ming was tall and not mobile. He's the anti of that.
Yeah,
He's the exception.
This is true. This is true. We know that there's a small pocket nestled in the mountains of China where they just grow them big. The redwoods.
They grow 'em
over
very
there.
big.
They grow them big.
All right, so it's just us two bringing you the heat this morning on Confidently Wrong.
Ooh.
I saw Brian
Ooh.
just scarfing down some breakfast. I think it was a yogurt, maybe.
Thank you for sharing
Yogurt.
that.
The yogurt.
It is skier. Skier like
I don't know what that is.
Nordic yogurt.
Okay.
Sky R.
The Sky R. Okay.
Sky R yogurt.
Is there some
if-
benefits to this?
if
Is it
you're familiar with that.
organic?
The benefit is that it fills my belly
All right, sounds
with
good.
goodness.
I love that we had both like old people
It's-
diets this morning. I had a bowl of oatmeal.
Did you have oatmeal?
Yeah, just straight up instant, not instant. Just Quaker Oats oatmeal.
Oh, I love that.
Threw some.
I'm all about that
blueberries-
oatmeal.
Threw some blueberries on there. No sugar. I
that-
went no sugar.
That's
This morning.
fantastic. You gotta just put like a little bit of honey,
Okay,
no sugar.
I didn't do honey or sugar this morning.
Not
I
even.
went unsweetened.
Oh, so
Yep.
it was flavorless.
Just
flavorless oatmeal.
Just the blueberries. You know, a little
wow,
almond milk.
Wow.
The almond milk probably has a little
Fantastic.
bit of sugar in it, but it's fine.
So did you consume this with or without your dentures?
Well, you know, I had to take the CPAP off. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have a CPAP machine.
You probably could use one.
Probably.
Me too, honestly.
All right, let's get it going. The people are tired of us. This show, we are going to talk about new Star Wars show, The Acolyte. It's our first Disney Plus show from about Star Wars in a while. Ahsoka
Is it?
Ahsoka
Is it?
launched last year. It was middle of last year, like August time, that we got Ahsoka, and then I don't think we've had a show since then. So it's been
Oh
a
my
little bit of a
goodness.
downtime.
Downtime that has felt like an on time or an uptime.
Yeah.
Like, I thought Ahsoka was yesterday.
No, yeah,
but
no,
okay.
it's been a minute.
This is
and
news to me.
And you're not the only person. Someone wrote in. I think it was Preston. I think that's his name. Wrote in on Instagram.
Shout out to Preston.
Yeah, that's he also is a little bit burned out on Star Wars. So I don't think you're the only person who feels like, oh man, it's been like we've just got too much Star Wars. But really, we haven't had a show in a while, and we haven't had a movie in years.
Thank God.
God, you're such a hater. All right, we'll get to that. I wanted to.
I am so surprised that there is another Star Wars show. I thought, like, you know, the CEO shakeup at Disney, we're reining things back. We went too ham on quantity over quality.
Yeah, they did do
like
that.
that's why we only have one Marvel movie this year. And then all of a sudden there's more Star Wars shows. What?
Well,
I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, when was? Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure Ahsoka was the last Star Wars thing we saw. Was there another one in between? Did we get Mando in between? No,
Was
right?
there a Bad Batch season?
There was
3?
Bad Batch. Bad Batch happened in the spring here. I think they just finished their season run. I have not checked it out yet. But in terms of live action, I think this is the only one we've had in a while. I did want to mention before we really get into it is that our next show will be about Godzilla minus one.
Gojira.
Yeah, a totally different genre of movie, and it's the Japanese produced one. So if you're interested in being ready for our next show, check out Godzilla minus one. It's available on Netflix, which most of you have, even though they're doing ad tiers now, and the price of the ad free version is going up and up and up. Hopefully you'll have Netflix and you'll be able to check that out. So Godzilla minus one, as a thing. I mean, Brian, do you recommend it? It's worth watching, right? Before,
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we'll talk about that next.
Do the
show.
homework.
Do the homework. Pre-work. It's summer. What else do you got to do? All right, so
live. But anyway,
all right, so let's get into Acolyte. I don't
who's
know
the Acolyte here. Is it me or you?
Oh man, I don't understand.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know. Okay, so I had to look it up. Do you want me to go find the definition of what Acolyte is? It's
no. I mean, I know what it means.
Okay.
I don't know what it means in context of the show.
I also,
but if you want to,
Okay.
if you want to edify everybody,
all right. The second definition is a devoted follower or attendant. So that's probably the definition they're going for. It also could be a person who assists the celebrant in the performance of liturgical rites. Brian, you're Catholic.
I'm the Acolyte.
What is liturgical
here? Liturgical, the liturgy.
What does that mean?
Is a part of the mass. That's like when they read from the Bible.
Okay.
In Roman Catholicism, that's when they read the Word of God.
Okay.
Why are you using a lot of air quotes? I don't know why I said it like Trump. The Word of God.
The best words, all the words.
All the words. I know all the good words. It was so funny when they asked him what his favorite Bible passage was. He's like, I don't want to say. It's
because you don't have.
Because he's never read it, folks. Okay.
Never listened to it either.
Do you listen to the Bible?
I mean, apparently someone reads the
you
Bible
put
verses.
it by your ear?
No, you're not like audiobook, like from the priest or whoever.
Okay. Anyway,
we're off track.
So
where's Savant to rein us in?
I guess there's a celebrant who's the priest
yeah, okay.
basically, and then the acolyte would be the helper.
Wait, are women allowed to be priests
setting?
Now?
So I think I'm the acolyte to your celebrant.
Okay, all right, I'm celebrating this.
You're definitely the celebrant.
All right,
you are the high priest
ceremonies. This thing
of confidently, the Church of Confidently Wrong, or let's make it a mosque or
I love
a
it.
temple.
Yeah, the holy temple's good.
Gurdwara.
Yeah. Temple's
yeah,
good.
I don't know.
The sacred place. The place of worship, so to speak.
I like the sacred place.
The sacred place.
It sounds naughty.
Don't go to my sacred place, please.
yeah, I don't want to be an acolyte anymore. Where's Savant?
Not going to be able to get through the show, are we? All right, and wait. Catholic Church, are they allowing women priests now, or is that not a thing? Still not a thing. Okay, not a thing. I thought that was going to be a thing pretty soon.
Like at the renegade churches.
Okay. Not
the better churches.
The Pope would not be about this.
It's still church, man. Right. So we know what to expect.
All right.
As
it's
in,
still Catholic
like,
Church.
Backwards. I'm totally alienating any church going.
Sorry, friends.
We have here.
Yeah,
But whatever, come on. It doesn't line up with the times. Let's be real.
We just lost all of our audience. I'm sorry, guys. We'll see you later next week.
I didn't know we had hardcore Christians.
I don't know.
Listening confidently.
You
wrong.
Never know. You might be.
Speaking of who's confidently wrong. Anyway. We should move on.
All right. Brian, so this show is billed or advertised kind of as taking place in a different era. We are away from the Star Killers. The Skywalkers. We're away from, Daisy Ridley's Rey. We're not near Anakin at any point, or Padme. We don't have Obi-Wan in this show. So this is completely different. It's a different, almost a different universe, supposedly. So what do we need to know going in terms of when this is taking place and kind of where we're at in terms of, I don't know, rebels, empires, republics, all that?
I don't fully know what all the eras are called.
Okay.
I'm not very good with the Star Wars continuum timeline. But from what I understand, this is a High Republic era, meaning this is 100 years before Skywalker stories.
Okay.
and this is when the Jedi have full control of the galaxy, and they're basically the peacekeepers, I think, and it's a lasting peace. At least that's what they're telling us at the onset of episode 1, in the title card, which is not a
Not a
scroll.
scroll.
They broke with Star Wars tradition here, so that's how you know this is a different era. Like they have yet to discover the endless scroll of text.
Well, I think that's only allowed for movies. I think the
Oh,
shows
is it?
I think the shows
Is that
don't
a rule?
allow it. It seems like it. I think it's an unwritten rule, but it's probably written down
That's
somewhere in Disney
that's the word
headquarters.
of George
Yeah.
Lucas. Yeah, it's in his Bible. So yeah, this is a completely different era. I don't know that we've ever visited this era of Star Wars on screen.
Right. I believe it's been
I'm not an
explored in
expert,
books,
so
and it's been explored
books
in
and
video
video
games.
games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard too. I am not also, I'm not an expert in this time period either. I mean, my knowledge is really whatever's been on screen. So I've not read any other books or anything. So this is what I understand as well, that there's this lasting peace, and that the Jedi are, they're able to sort of be sort of their best selves at this point in time. They're not having to be commanded by like the Senate, or kind of at the whims of people who are trying to like do nefarious things in the Empire.
Right. And then they're also not decimated, and they're
Yeah.
and they're not
just stranded. Right.
hiding. Yeah. So their numbers are actually quite large, and they're all over the universe.
All right. I think that's a good place to start. So I wanted to kind of take one step back, which is this conversation we already started around Star Wars and whether we're sort of ready for this entry into the Star Wars universe. And I was talking to my buddy Albert, and he was also being kind of miserable about it. And what he was kind of disappointed was there's another show centered around Jedi, centered around, laser swords and force magic. And he felt it makes for what he called like lazy writing, right? Like you can just get out of any situation because you got Jedi powers. You're just a magician, basically. And he's pining for different stories to be told in the Star Wars universe, like Andor, where we're getting really just what is it like to be a regular person in this world, or, something different than just the Jedi, because we've seen 9 movies now of Jedi. We've seen, countless shows. What else is there that Star Wars has to offer that isn't kind of the same thing? I don't necessarily disagree, or I don't necessarily agree with him. I have a lot of bones to pick with sort of that point of view. But Brian, I wanted to get your take. Is the problem here that Star Wars has too much, force magic, force pushes, and lightsaber battles? Like, is that kind of where we're going wrong here?
Hey, when a lightsaber battle is well choreographed and well thought out, that is the shit, right?
It's really good.
Like it's fun. Yeah. It's almost undeniably fun and awesome to watch. There's a reason why Disney pushes all their chips in this direction. There's a reason why we as audiences gobble it up, because it's entertaining. Like, who doesn't want to see a really cool fight with people that have abilities that don't exist in our reality? And especially when they find creative new ways to exploit force powers.
Before this show, give me an example where what lightsaber battles like tickled your sacred regions.
I mean, do you remember when Yoda first battled in one of the
Count
late
Dooku
prequels? Yeah, against Count Dooku, and he's just like 360 spiraling all over the screen, bouncing around like a pinball with a lightsaber.
Sonic the Hedgehog with a lightsaber.
That was awesome. Was that not cool?
It was cool.
Or Ahsoka, like pick any number battle with Ahsoka from the last series. They were all pretty great. Especially because she's wielding 2 lightsabers at a time, and just a perpetual badass on screen. So in those instances, yeah, this is fun to watch, regardless of what the story is. Sometimes, I think we talk about this on the show a lot, right? It's like, but the story. Well, we don't always have to watch everything just for the story, right? There are other things to appreciate in a piece of media, and I think that's true in Star Wars. However,
However,
if it's not like 95% of that awesomeness, or if those lightsaber battles and Jedi fights are not well thought out and well choreographed, if they're not top tier, that story better be kicking.
Yeah.
Like that better like compensate and overcompensate and make us want to watch, just like Andor, where we had virtually none, right? Like I don't think there was any Jedi presence in Andor, if I'm not mistaken, right? And
No, we didn't see any Jedi.
and that series was the shit. So and truly has honestly ruined the rest of Star Wars for me. Like I have said before, I've tried to go back and even watch what was that Star Wars movie, Star Wars Rebels or whatever, that Andor is a spinoff of. Like that movie is not even good
Oh,
anymore
Rogue One.
relative to Andor. Rogue One,
Yeah, okay.
right.
It's written by the same guy. What's the problem?
Because Andor's just better.
Okay.
It's like an evolution of the style and the story and the storytelling. So, you know, I think anything in the shadow of Andor, for me at least, for my taste, has a little trouble.
Yeah.
And so now we have the Acolyte, which is light years away in terms of style and in the timeline from Andor. And instead we're getting all Jedi, only Jedi. Like there are almost no other characters presented but Jedi.
Yeah. Or Force users, at least, yeah.
Or Force users, yeah. Jedi adjacent.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of agree.
Yeah.
Like what? Why are we even interested in these guys? Unless, you know, I'm sure there are interesting things to tell. Like there are these novels that exist, and I mean, there's got to be some good characters, and there got to be some interesting developments as to maybe how the order functions and stuff like that. But you know, at the end of the day, we're following around some, you know, this monastic lifestyle. like these they're monks basically. How do you make monks interesting?
Yeah.
That's a tough question to answer.
I see.
And I don't know that they have one here.
Yeah. Well, so we're only going to talk about the first 2 episodes because as of recording, that's all that's been released. I think they're going to do week by week, and it should be 8 total. So we may or may not come back to visit this. I think that'll sort of depend on, you know, how it goes and whether we're really interested in it. There's a bunch of other content coming out, or movies and shows coming out. The Bear, House of the Dragon is going to be coming out. So there's a lot of stuff that's, you know, that's kind of in the next offing. Deadpool and Wolverine is coming out, so we may not come back to this, and you know, kind of just depends on whether
I'm crossing my fingers.
Well, I mean, maybe it'll be a strong show, right? And so we'll see kind of where it goes. I think it's too hard to judge on 2 episodes. I don't think they have a clear loser here after 2 episodes. Oh, wow, he made
eyebrows raised.
Made some big eyes.
No, I don't know.
Okay,
I can't call it a loser.
Okay. But we'll get into that. So, I don't know. I understand that point of view, and I loved Andor, and I think a lot of because not only because was it different and it didn't have necessarily like Jedi, you required, you know, Diego Luna's character. I don't even remember his name, but to
Andor.
Andor, yeah, to kind of use his wits and to like use his powers of persuasion to get out of like these situations, and then, you know, end up
to also be morally ambiguous.
Yeah. And I think that show is like really well crafted and really well put together, but I don't think it's solely because there were no Jedi. And I think we're taking slightly the wrong message around it, right? Like you can enjoy the first original trilogy, right? The first 3 movies, and there were plenty of Jedi and Force users in there, but that story is cool. Like the reveals are interesting. I think it's also a time and place thing, right? It's, you know, when people saw it in the 70s and 80s, it was very different from anything else that they had ever seen. And then, you know, even the prequel trilogies have some appeal to a lot of folks like Savant's age and Mike's age because of the strength of like
they were children.
The action scenes. Yeah. And like they love,
but the action scenes were great.
Yeah. And a lot of the like cool tech that was involved, and like you saw all these creatures, and like you're just in this world of like clear, you know, just like interesting things happening all the time. and it's a clear battle between like good and evil and all of that, sort of that goes on. So to me, it's hard to say like, well, Star Wars is problem. Like Star Wars' problem is that there's too much Jedi, or that there is, too much just Sith and Skywalkers and all of that. I think the problem has been honestly just like the bad writing, right? Like we got the sequel trilogies, which obviously had their issues, especially in not being planned about what was coming in movie 2, and then not being planned about movie 3, and so those three just didn't work together very well, and ended up being sort of this thing, where Palpatine returns, and it's like, oh god, that's not where that should have gone at all. And then obviously Disney,
Talk about
yeah,
lazy.
and then like we talked about, Disney Plus having their issues with trying to produce too much content, but not really vetting like whether the stories really came together. And to me, you could be tired of Star Wars being mediocre, but like I still want to see Jedi stories. I still want to see good Jedi stories, right? And I don't think that that's undoable, or something that's impossible for Disney to pull off at some point. What? So my hope on this show is, hey, yeah, we're going to feature Jedi, but we're going to bring good writing. We're going to bring interesting stories and interesting characters into it, and give them real, like, either ethical quandaries or moral quandaries that they have to come up against. It's not about overcoming it with their Jedi powers necessarily, but it's like, Luke having to overcome his fears or whatever. And it's like these Jedi have to overcome their particular conflicts or weaknesses, or fears of what they think is going to happen. So I
Yeah, I
think
think
it's
we just
possible.
want something refreshing,
Yeah.
right? Like a refreshing angle and conundrum.
Yeah.
And so whether that is like there are very few Jedi, but we're still part of this rebel sect, and then you have a rebel fight happening. That's interesting. And/or is like, how do these how do rebellions come together from just the people, right? Like how does that happen? That's always interesting. And then so for something like the Acolyte, right? You want to get some new questions in there to figure out. And honestly, I think there is one interesting question, which we'll get to with this next
All
prompt from
right.
our celebrant.
Sounds good. So let's do it for the celebrant. All right, my Acolyte. 2 episodes have been released. I think as a primer, because people are primer. It's actually called primer apparently, but whatever. The the show starts with a big like opening sequence, like a bar fight, basically, where an intruder comes in, a dark figure, and seeks out someone, and it's clear that they're bent on revenge, and they want to seek out a Jedi, and that Jedi's name is Indara, who's played by Carrie-Anne Moss, Trinity from The Matrix.
Trinity.
And wow, Trinity gets to really show off. Carrie-Anne Moss gets to show off again, like some of her martial arts skills and her stunt work, which is
She's totally just Trinity in
yeah.
this. She's doing like
Uh huh.
the sidestep blocks with the hand up, completely vertical.
Which
And
is cool because it communicated like how advanced these Jedi are, right? Like they're so confident and great in their
yeah, they're
abilities.
in the Matrix.
Yeah, that they don't need to have huge movements. They don't need to break out their lightsabers. They literally are just dodging. That's all they're doing. It's like very like,
Yeah, they know kung
yeah,
fu.
exactly. They're just flowing with it, right? And so interesting that like that's the thing, because we, like you said, right, this is supposed to be the Jedi at their height of powers, and they are in control, right? And so we get to see like how expert they are based on the characterization in this fight. Anyways, so this assassin comes in, uh does the fight, and that's kind of where we start, and we want to know like, who is this assassin? What did the Jedi do that pissed them off, or that made it so that they need to be assassinated or revenged or whatever? Like we don't even know the motivation. So
Yeah, because they're boring. That's why May's angry. It's like, you wasted all these years of my life selling me bad shit.
Hater, take the hater pants off. All right, so two episodes in, and what's been the biggest strength you've seen so far?
I
Give
just
it some
realized
love
you asked me to
before.
take my pants off. But anyway,
Give it some love.
You want me? You want me to go with the strength first?
I want you to go with strength.
Or?
Yeah, I want you to.
Okay.
What did you actually like about it? Because there's plenty of haters out there that are going to be anti Star Wars and anti this show. Let's start off with like, what is something that's like interesting or something that you've actually been attracted to in the show?
So I think you'll talk about the other thing, which I also agree with.
Okay.
Which is like part of like how it takes place, but the thing that I've been curious about and drawn to in this show, and it comes up right in the very first scene with Trinity, with Carrie Ann Moss.
She's just
which is
just Trinity, Master Trinity.
Master Trinity, yeah. Like, why do they have to name her anything else? Maybe Indara means Trinity.
Maybe that would be hilarious.
I'm gonna believe that. Yeah. In Coruscant, it means
right.
Trinity. Anyway, so the key thing here is like, okay, you have this person out for revenge. She's got throwing knives. How is she possibly going to defeat Master Trinity, this Master Jedi who can just sidestep block easily? Like, like she is a master of the Matrix, right? And so there's this question that runs throughout the show as we begin to learn that this person out for revenge is not only trying to get Trinity, but she's also trying to get 3 other Jedi. And so every episode, it seems, at least in the first 2, is built around, well, how does this person, May, who we learn is May, how does May kill Jedi? Right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you kill a master of martial arts, a master of the Force, when maybe you yourself are not a master? You are a Force user, but you're not a master. How do you defeat somebody at that level?
And she's getting her ass kicked.
And so in the first episode, we see May create a moral quandary that basically puts Trinity in a checkmate.
Yep.
In the second episode, May is confronted with her second target, another Jedi who has completely taken, I guess, a vow of silence and is in a meditative state perpetually, and because of that has some sort of force field surrounding him at all times. How do you penetrate that force field to kill the guy? And the solution that she finds, and now I'm definitely going into spoilers here, but the solution that she finds has to do with appealing to this guy's emotions, right?
Right.
It doesn't have, it's not about skill.
Right. It's not about how strong she was or fast she was.
Yeah. None of that. It was about appealing to a specific emotion that is pertinent to why this guy is taking a vow of silence.
I think that's a good non-spoiler spoiler. Yeah.
Using that to her ends.
Yep.
And so, as the subsequent episodes come out, it'll be interesting. Like, we know who the target is for episode 3. How can she possibly get that target?
Yeah.
And then episode 4, I'm assuming is Saul.
We'll see.
Jedi Saul, or maybe not.
Well, because there's 8 episodes, so if they did that, then what happens to the last 4 episodes?
Then she just adds more to her kill list.
Yeah, is this Kill Bill?
You got Saul's Padawan, you got Saul's running mate, you got anyway.
Shout out to Saul though. The main actor from Squid Game is playing a Jedi here, and almost completely unrecognizable. It's very different hairstyle. He's speaking English, very different like movements and body postures. In Squid Game, he's a panicked person trying to survive. In this one, he's a very confident Jedi moving within the Force, and so very languid and different kind of calm demeanor. So I almost didn't recognize him at all.
And not speaking in Korean.
That's part of it. Apparently, he learned enough English for this. Like, this is the first time he's learning English just because he wanted to be a part of Star Wars. So.
He learned for this show?
I think so. That's what I've read. I don't know how true that is.
That's wild.
I could just be spreading rumors.
It could be.
But I like it because people love to be in Star Wars. It's kind of a fun thing to be a part of. Like,
Sam Jackson loves Star Wars.
Just being part of cinematic history, right? You know that you're going to be just in this world forever and this Lucasfilm universe. All right.
So what was the biggest strength for you?
All right. So biggest strength for me was the fight choreography. We haven't seen fights like this yet. It wasn't CG fighting, right? It's not like that. It's completely, not completely. It's taking a lot of inspiration from like those old Hong Kong kung fu movies. I think,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And so we're getting that like wire work where they can just like
Wire fu.
yeah, they're just like hopping off of like a staircase railing and then like bouncing off the wall and then like tapping their opponent and then like dodging everything and then they float up to another level and then spin, land on a rafter almost or something. You know, like there's a lot of that stuff going on in the first couple of fights that we see. And that's been so inventive, right? Like it kind of makes sense that a force user who can do a force push would also be able to force themselves, you know, into different positions and kind of change.
I see what you did there.
Change the geometry of the fight, right, into a more 3-dimensional fight rather than just this 2-dimensional XY, you know, plane that we're sort of used to. And in the same way that it was kind of cool to see Yoda doing everything that he was doing in that that lightsaber battle against Dooku, it's very similar to this one, except you're seeing
no lightsabers.
No lightsabers at first, right? We're seeing these hand-to-hand combat movements, which I don't know that Jedi have really been masters of hand-to-hand combat in on screen before. Not in this way.
That's a good point. I don't think so.
Right? Not in this level of just fast movements, blocking, dodging, you know, arm grapples, things like that. I don't know how to describe martial arts, but it was just like super cool to see. It wasn't like fast cutting, so it wasn't like, oh, I'm getting lost in the fight. Like they stayed on the shot and it was like clear what was going on. So that to me was the coolest thing. It was clear like whoever the stunt performers were, they like prepared for it, they had practiced it a bunch, and it didn't feel choreographed like some fights can be, even though it's like obviously hyper choreographed, right? Like to be doing this wire work, you're like, oh, okay, it's not real, you know? So you're not like, oh, this is a realistic knockdown, brutal fight. It's just like a very beautiful, cool fight of like expert proportions. Like, oh, these guys are just elite, you know, force users at this point. And so that's what I've been enjoying the most is they've had a couple of really great action scenes like that. And then
it's very like what Shang-Chi was for the MCU.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like a refreshing type of fight that we haven't seen.
I wouldn't want every fight to be like that, but
what we were seeing here.
Yeah, exactly. Right. What was the dad's name in Shang-Chi? Tony Liu? Was that the real actor?
Yeah, Tony Leung.
Leung. So like, I mean, his fight right in the forest with the mom character.
Yeah, that was the wuxia style fight.
Yeah, right. But I think it works in that movie, right? Because it kind of fits the tone, and obviously there's a characterization as Shang-Chi as being Chinese, and then, you know, bringing in like a Chinese style inspired fight, like that kind of makes sense. In this one, it does make sense as well. I don't want every fight to be like this, but it was just cool to see it like play out that way in a way that we haven't seen in a Star Wars fight before. So
and Trinity looks like Trinity.
Yeah, it's like what a great use of that
was
actor's
part
heritage.
Of the style. Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
All right. So and I really want to know, like, what is May's deal? Like, why is she so upset? Why is she so hell-bent on revenge on these particular 4? Like, what did they do? And at the end of it, are we going to come out thinking, oh, like the Jedi were actually the bad guys here, right? Like, we know they're supposed to be upholders of justice and helping everybody. And they clearly, like, Saul clearly feels like he made a mistake, you know, or like he regrets maybe some of the decisions he made, and maybe he was still making them for the right reasons, but it's been misinterpreted, or it got interpreted by May in a different way. Like, who knows, right? Like how this is going to go. But I am intrigued by like what is actually motivating May here, and we haven't been revealed that yet.
I would love if they had to make a Jedi show, make it about dirty cop Jedi. like these are tainted Jedis. You know, they're like doing dirt under the table, and they've been corrupted. Let's get that version. Can I get the film noir version of Star Wars?
All right. So that takes us to biggest weakness, or maybe potential weakness. Like you're worried that we're going down a certain pathway that you really don't want the show to go down. Brian, what is that for you?
Oh my God. This is going to be a long list.
All right, I've got my notebook ready. Pen and
No,
pencil.
no. I will just point out one thing
Okay.
that in terms of the
What restraint you've
storytelling.
got, sir?
Hey man, we got a schedule to
Okay.
keep, all right? I got things to do than like spend all my time talking about Star Wars and the Acolyte of all things. But like, okay, so this show is doing some things right, but it's also doing a bunch of things wrong. And to me, like one of the biggest things is uh just how much expository dialogue is happening on the show, and just like Saul's on the communicator explaining everything that we just saw happen in the scene. Like he goes on the communicator to say like, oh yeah, don't worry, it's not OSHA who they're all looking for in the first episode. They've ID'd this former Padawan of his who's left the Jedi Order, OSHA, as the killer of Indira. Indra?
Indara?
Indara? Trinity, right? As the
Master
killer of
Trinity.
Trinity.
Yeah.
They've identified OSHA as being the one, and then all of a sudden we realize, oh no, it's not OSHA, it's her twin. We learn all of that in the first episode, and then you have
And they
Saul.
do it in a really good way.
Do they? Was that really good?
They do it. Well, do you see how like strong May is at using the Force, right? She's able to control her blades. She's able to battle with a Jedi, like a master Jedi. So we know she's a strong Force user. And then in the prison cell, OSHA is not able to use her Force powers. She tries and fails. And so we realize this is not the same person.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, I think like the show is not even trying very hard to make that a point of entry.
No, but I mean, they did it
like
at first,
very
right?
little.
Yeah. But they let us know as the audience that, okay, this isn't May. They didn't have to go like 14 steps then to like show that May was not OSHA anymore, right? Like we got it in that one episode.
They did.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the show did, right?
No, I'm agreeing with you. But I'm saying like they could have just left it at that, right?
Yeah. They could have went the subtle route and said like, or even drawn it out too, right? Like we didn't need to learn.
No, it could have been like 3 or 4 episodes.
A twin. Yeah. But instead they give us dialogue telling us exactly what's going on, where we have to waste time on screen watching Jedi who, are notoriously great conversationalists and who have the best dialogue in cinema history.
Always.
Talk to each other about like the information that they just learned, as if to catch up the audience on everything
that we already
just spent time watching. And they've done this a couple of times throughout the first 2 episodes.
All right, fair.
And so when we talk about lazy storytelling, like that's expository storytelling is one that really rankles me the most.
Do you think it's lazy or just like unskilled? Because they do the thing to show us on screen. It's not like they don't show us on screen, right? Like they show us on screen in a great.
I don't know if it's lazy. I don't know if it's like you're
rushed.
Working at corporate whims. Yeah. I don't like. You think the audience is stupid? Like it's all these things.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't coming through in their tests, and so they're like, "Oh, we got to add this in or something." I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't coming in through the test because the test audience was probably sleeping. But so like, there's that part, and I also just want to point out they raised the specter very briefly that OSHA perhaps has multiple personalities. And I think that would have been way more interesting than the twin. I mean, like both those storylines are very daytime soap opera.
Yeah, I didn't want that.
But the twin one is also just like, there's a twin.
And I'll say this. I think you're right. I think they could have handled that better. But I'm glad that the twin thing is not the actual big reveal. Right? Like we were talking about Christopher Nolan
took it off the table, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm glad that that's off the table because it's like, cool, now we can get into actually like what is motivating the evil twin, quote unquote, the evil twin, and where is this like actual training coming from, right? And who is
Yeah, the
behind
big
this.
mystery is like
Yeah, and
who's
I'm glad
her
that
Force user master, who's her Sith Lord,
exactly. And so I'm glad
essentially.
that we're not having to do a whole thing around it and then they just like switch it and they're like, "Guess what? It was an evil twin." And we'd be like, "Dude, an evil twin? Like, come on." So I'm glad we didn't have to wait for that too long because I think that would
But there still is an evil twin.
I think that would have been a bad payoff
Oh
if
god.
that was the central mystery and then it turned out that it was an evil twin they just hid from us. So I'm okay with that. I do think you're right. Maybe there's a little too much exposition. Um
But maybe evil twin is the real weakness here. Like grown.
I think the weakness here is maybe just in my expectations. In that I thought this was.
Let me teach you something about Star Wars and expectations, Wes.
I thought this was going to be a totally different time period, right? That we were in this what we called the High Republic. I didn't know much about it except that we were going to get away from the Skywalker saga and that we were going to sort of see what the Jedi were like in this time of great light and great like enlightenment, and the galaxy at its maybe like height of, I don't know, equality, equity, whatever. And maybe that creates a problem on its own because it's really hard to draw a story in like a really great time. Like, what are you actually conflicted about? And so it feels actually like a lot of this is actually just the same as old Star Wars or previous Star Wars stories. Like the Jedi still have issues here in terms of their commitment to not being attached is getting in the way of them actually caring about about what they should care about, which is like humanity. And they're still being used as space cops here. Like they're clearly kind of like enforcers and investigators, which is something that they did in the prequel trilogy. They're still just using force pushes and lightsabers. They're still like a dark, evil force user out there somewhere pulling the
Yeah.
strings.
Light side versus dark side.
Yeah. And secondly, I think in the first two episodes, I'm a little bit struggling with like which character am I invested in? Right? Like, am I really invested in
Yeah.
Osha?
Seriously.
Um
Seriously.
Yeah, and I want to be invested in Osha, and I am a little bit. I think there probably needs to be a little bit more of her to come out in terms of like her personality and in terms of her agency within the show. Right now everything is sort of just happening to her. Um and Saul, like, like he's kind of interesting, but kind of not.
Only because he's from Squid Game. I think that's honestly all the reason why I'm watching
Okay.
him, is because I'm just like curious.
Like, how are you
Like,
gonna pull
the
this
guy
off?
from Squid Game. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but there's kind of a lack of exploration in like what is it like to be a Jedi in this time, and the most interesting Jedi we've had so far got killed in the first 10 minutes of the show.
I know. She
seems
was
so cool.
like immediately magnetic,
Yeah.
and then whoops.
So to me, those
What
are
a fake out.
the red flags here around like, ooh, I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy this show. Like they've done sort of these things that we've seen before, and it's not the new show that I kind of wanted. But I'm still willing to go along with it. It's literally only 2 episodes in. I don't like, if you had judged The Wire by its first 2 episodes, I think you'd be like,
Oh, The Wire's great in the first 2
no,
episodes.
it's boring as shit.
No,
Yeah.
you're only saying that because it took you a while to catch up.
No, it's so boring.
It's so good.
It doesn't get good until like
But-
episode 6.
You're just talking about like the climactic sort of like stuff, but like if you're
No,
if you're
boring.
into cops and bad guys, like
Nah.
Wire is so good.
Okay.
But anyway,
Disagree.
I also wanted to point out, like, even if they just regurgitated all this same Jedi plots and storyline type stuff, if they did it at a high quality storytelling level, I don't think anyone would mind.
Okay.
Like House of the Dragon is very much the same as Game of Thrones. Like, let's be real here. It's not too different, but it's awesome because of it. And so, like, sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel, but you do when, other things are not clicking.
Okay.
Like, you need something to click here. And I'm not sure if any one thing is, except maybe the kung fu fighting
is exceptional. Yeah.
But now that you mentioned characters to care about, we gotta give a shout out to the actual best character of the show so far, Manny Jacinto, Jason Mendoza from The Good Place.
He's a
Like
very
he just
different
turns up
character.
out of nowhere, and he's sort of like Jason Mendoza ish, where he's idiot like, but he's a sly idiot.
Yeah,
You know
he's
what I mean?
clever.
Or like he's playing an idiot for a conniving purpose, and
He's not just an
and
idiot.
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like he's an Andor character in the wrong series.
Yeah, and he's the one who spots the difference. He also is one who's like, "You're not her," right? Like no one else can tell, but he knows right away that she's not the right twin when he meets them.
Letting us know that Jedi are actually dumber than
just regular
Jason
people.
Mendoza. They totally got Bortles.
Yeah. Oh man, if like you said, if Bortles managed to show up in here, like
yeah, if Manny Jacinto throws a lightsaber and yells Bortles, this entire series is worth it. That's all I gotta say.
Things that will never happen but should. All right. So I think you're right. Like this is a place where we're not sure about how this show is going to go. I mentioned to you before we started recording that this show is created and written by what is her name? Let me make sure I get it right. Leslie Headland. Yeah.
Headland.
Who is the creator and writer of Russian Doll, which I've never seen but I've heard good things about. Brian,
I think that's a really great show.
What is your reaction when you hear that the creator of Russian Doll is also the creator of the show?
Yeah, I did not know that at all. Yeah. And when you told me, I had to pick my jaw off the floor.
In a good way or a bad way?
What? Like in the worst way. It's like, what a fall from grace. What happened? You got kicked out of heaven? Jeez.
So you expected more?
I mean,
knowing that it's her.
I remember after the first episode of The Acolyte and, seeing like, oh, this is directed and written by the same person. I wasn't familiar with the name. And I was like, wow, they should hire someone else. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, person. And now that I know that it's the creator of Russian Doll, like, oh, dude, like something went wrong.
Okay. Do you think that's like then Disney or Lucasfilm sort of got involved?
I'm gonna blame I'm gonna blame it on them.
Okay.
Like here's clearly somebody that has talent and is not getting to flex their muscles.
That's so frustrating because it's like you hire these people that, like Brian, you think she's great,
which happens in the MCU all the time, right?
It's like you think
like you hire great people and then
don't let them
have to rein it back. Yeah, you don't let them cook. Yeah, like why put them on the team?
Right.
They're a 3-point shooter. You won't let them shoot a 3.
Yeah.
Like what's up?
Like give them the green light, dude. Give them the green light. And they managed to do that for Andor, and you get a great show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like lesson not learned, guys. All right.
Let Rian Johnson make his version of Star Wars.
Yeah, and he did, and it was.
Oh no, wait, he did. Never mind. Bad example.
You didn't like that version of Star Wars?
I had never completed it.
Really?
I kept
you
falling
couldn't get
asleep.
into it. Okay. I did like it. I thought it was good, and I thought a lot of the things that they had done were cool. All right. So, if you had an evil twin, Brian, this is kind of an aside. Who would they be exacting their revenge on?
Oh, there are so many names on the list.
Oh, look, we have a visitor in the back. Oh, she's gone.
Hey, Anna. That's Anna.
Okay, hi, Anna.
Bye, Anna.
Hi, Anna. Okay, you get one.
I get one target.
One target.
It's not like May where she's got like four names. She's like Arya Stark.
Is it like a series? Is it like a collection that makes sense to give us as a group? That's
like a whole team.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. I think that's the way to go.
Okay.
We gotta either it's the Indiana Pacers or it's the 1994 Houston Rockets. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's go with them.
Destroying your childhood and your adulthood. Both of those teams.
My God. I've realized that all of sports for me is just nostalgia. It's just like me trying to relive my childhood.
No, because you loved this team.
Of course I loved it. I love the team.
Yeah.
I love the team now, but particularly because I love them for the little boy in me.
All right.
And I want the team to get theirs. But let's talk about who crushed Brian's first heart.
Oh, we're getting vulnerable here.
And maybe first and only heart.
All right.
The 1994 Houston Rockets, 93-94.
Yeah. Hakeem.
Featuring Hakeem the Dream and Kenny the Jet Smith. And Sam Cassell, that MFer. Oh my God. My evil twin. He's going back in time.
And killing
with
all
skills,
of them.
With skills learned from the 21st century.
I think you just have to kill Hakeem.
Oh, it's not it. No.
Oh, okay.
We're not doing anything as blatant and as bloody as that.
Okay, what are you doing?
No. My evil twin is conniving.
Oh, okay.
It's conniving. It's just all he's got to do is like, put a little thing in the Gatorade. Suddenly you got inflamed limbs, Hakeem. Oh, those knees are locking up a little. Oh no. No more dream shake, more like dream still, like dream statue. Hey, if Hakeem does not get his one fingertip on John Stark's 3-ball to end Game 6, Knicks win in 6.
Butterfly sliding doors moment right there.
So maybe it's just like, my evil twin is a manicurist in Houston.
A little cuticle infection.
Oh, oops. Oh, we're gonna have to shave off a little bit of that fingernail. Done. History forever altered.
Forever altered.
Evil twin wins.
But then you would have so many bad dreams or whatever, nightmares against the Chicago Bulls still. So I don't know.
Hey man,
but you would have a championship.
All we need was one.
All right.
That's it.
That's fair.
And that was the year.
Hakeem was the man in those years, and I mean, a little bit lucky that Michael wasn't there, but still.
Yeah, it's too bad we never got to see those two face off.
Yeah. All right.
So who's your evil twin exacting revenge on? Does Wes Nakamura even have vengeances?
I don't.
Grievances?
I'm pretty even keeled, and I like to think the better of people. We were even in an accident recently, and the person met us for a minute, and then was like, "Can we pull over?" And then totally ditched us. Didn't trade information, and
you got man.
We got, but I didn't hold it against them too much. I was like, that's kind of a crappy thing to do, but I get it.
And they're not your target?
No, I get it. You're in a financially and maybe immigrationally vulnerable spot. You really are putting yourself in jeopardy here. For if you're going to stick around and try and trade information. So I kind of understand maybe where they were coming from.
The empathetic Wes
I'm trying.
holds no grudges.
Right. But I am going to hold a little grudge here against a corporate entity. So if I had an evil twin, my corporate or my evil twin would take down Aero Mexico. And this is not racist. I'm not anti-Mexican.
I was just about to say. It's this guy doesn't believe Mexicans can run an airline.
Well,
racist.
It's not that. It's that they can run an airline and they're screwing me over. So I am a little bit peeved at Aero Mexico.
Pray tell, how are they screwing you over?
And this is hard because this is a very first world problem, Brian. So
oh boy.
we wanted to go this summer to Mexico City. It would be our first international trip in a really long time, but it's doable. We have 2 small kids, and it's only a 2 or 3 hour flight to Mexico City. We've had it booked.
Oh no, my international trip.
Yeah, we've had it booked since February, and it turns out that Mexico City is actually dealing with a really serious water shortage problem, in which they may actually run out of running drinkable water in the next month or so. So that's hearts out to them. That is not an actual thing to laugh about. The
hearts out to them.
Yeah.
Daggers to Aero Mexico.
Aero Mexico though, fuck those guys. So we're doing the smart thing. We're hey, we can't really take a chance with 2 small kids to be in a country or in a city where there's going to be no running water. That's a pretty precarious situation to be in. And we don't
Dude,
know.
Just pack your own water.
Turns out you can't take it on the plane.
Some Poland Spring.
Yeah. So we wanted to change our plans and maybe try and go to a different part of Mexico, use the tickets, pay the change fee or whatever. Dude, Aero Mexico's fare rules are so impossible to get around. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but
use Google Translate.
What? It wasn't even a translation problem. They were speaking English. The problem was how they set up the fare rules was basically you had to go through 18 different hoops to make a change, and that's the only way you could make a change. And we couldn't make that work with our particular location and timing and the places that we've like thought were possible to get to. It would have cost us an extra like $3,000. We would have had to go to Atlanta first and then go to like Cancun or Tulum or wherever we wanted to go. And it just wasn't possible. And you can't, a lot of airlines, I feel like if you cancel, they'll at least like let you keep that credit. They don't give you your money back, but they're like, well, you can book another flight with us in the future, yada, yada, yada. Nope. On this one, you can't. If you don't use it, you lose it. Like it's just mind-boggling to me. And so for being an evil corporation that has basically stolen, we used points. So they stole our points, which is like, at least that's not real money, but like
but it is real money because it's worth something.
Yeah, it is. And so they've just taken it, and we can't, there's no like actual feasible way for us to make a change that's going to be usable. So they should rot in hell. Aero Mexico. Fuck you guys. You're never sponsoring our pod. I don't need any of your Aero Mexico
if
points.
If they give us money, I'm taking it. Yeah, I'm taking your points.
If they sponsor our show, we'll just be like, Aero Mexico's the business. It's so awesome. You guys should all fly it.
Yeah. I don't mind. Take all my points, Aero Mexico.
No moral quandary here, guys. I take it all back. So Aero Mexico.
Wow, evil twin.
Oh man.
You have work to do.
Yeah. Dismantle
taking down
all their
corporation.
planes, take down the corporate structure, turn them into Patagonia or, some nice corporate, thing that is not so evil and so money hungry. That doesn't exist. That's not a real thing. Turn them into...
Yeah, I was about to say, is Patagonia that? I'm not sure.
Turn them into...
Have you seen the people that wear it?
Turn them into a charity organization that really helps people. That's what they should do. Screw all their shareholders. All right, let's move on. Otherwise, I'm going to get upset.
Down with Aero Mexico, but not Mexico.
Not Mexico itself.
Just
Mexico. We need to help them get more water. That's a serious problem. You can't. I don't mean to say this like stupidly, but like you can't survive without water. And there's like 20 million people that live in Mexico City, so it's got to be a thing they figure out. All right.
Where are the Jedi when you need them?
They would just space cop everybody and arrest all the poor people. All right.
This is what I'm saying. This is why Jedi are boring.
All right. Will you finish the series, Brian? If we decide we're not going to talk about it because we got too much other stuff going on, of your own free will, are you going to be finishing the series?
Wow. Like this seems like a trap. I'll
honest.
be very honest. I have to admit something.
Okay.
I have not finished Ahsoka. I had like 1 or 2 episodes left. I have not.
Okay.
I haven't seen it. The same is also true of maybe Mandalorian, the latest season. So my track record on this,
not good.
Not great. However, I do want to point out one little tidbit that happened at the end of episode 2. Wookiee Jedi. Which was like a cool way to end the episode and to bait us to watch more. So
you might give it one more at least.
I want to see the Wookiee Jedi. Right. That at least is something we have not seen before. And
he was not the calm, cool, collected Jedi.
How does it work? Yeah, exactly. Like, Wookiees aren't known for their composure. Yeah. So
okay.
We'll
intrigued.
See. We'll see. What about you? Are you fanboying it up?
I'm in. I'm going to watch till the end.
Oh, you are in?
Yeah, I'm in. I'm going to watch till the end. I mean, I think there's ways they could really fumble the bag, but to me, they haven't done that yet. I really have enjoyed the choreography. I want to know more about Osha and like what's happened in her past and like where May is going with this. So yeah, they've done enough to get me in. So I'm in. I want to see it. I want to know where it goes. I want to see if Saul survives.
I hope he dies.
You hope he dies?
I think it'd be a more interesting show if he dies.
Yeah, maybe.
And to die for his sins, whatever they may be. And I hope the Jedi committed actual sins. Like I want to find out that it was bad what they did. It
wasn't just like a mistake or
not just some simple thing. I want to cover up. I want some dirty cop action. I don't want to just be like, oh, I couldn't save you both, so I had to pick the good son versus the bad son. That's Macaulay Culkin reference for you. Yeah, like give us something juicy. Make it worth it, Disney.
Guys, y'all should YouTube that clip, by the way. The good son. All right.
I think Elijah Wood is the good son.
Really?
Is that him? And Macaulay Culkin's the bad son?
I've never seen it. I
Something
just
like
saw
that.
the clip and I was like, oh, dark.
Very.
All right. I want to say one more time, we're going to watch Godzilla -1 before, or next show we're going to watch it. So, do the homework. It was pretty cool. I'll say that. So enjoy it. Friends, we're out of here. Talk to you later. May the force be with you. Bye.